We had earlier this summer, so we had a billboard up in
Yeah.
no, yeah, we had a billboard up in Hamilton, got taken down, and then we got debanked this summer from one of the banks that we bank with, like ARPA Canada,
Okay. Which bank?
Canadian Western Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did an interview with Ezra Levant, Rebel News,
Yeah.
and it was great, good interview. He kind of threw a curveball towards the end, but I think I navigated it, and I was like, okay, I think that went well. And like an hour later, they call me and they're like, "You never guess what happened? Like the whole file was corrupted somehow. We're not sure what happened, but we got to do it again." So we had to redo the whole interview,
Wow.
like 15-minute conversation, and oh man, so
The
yeah,
reason Mike's bringing that up is we were just recording for half an hour, but we weren't actually recording. So welcome back to another episode of the Briefcase in the Barn, a series of the Furious and Curious show where we talk about business, life, Christianity, and more. At least we're more relaxed now.
Gary, has this ever happened to you? Like,
So we got Mike's friend Gary on. It's so weird repeating half of this stuff now.
man.
That I actually had that same thing with Eric Trump.
Okay.
I interviewed him. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't get in my studio at the time. I didn't have a studio at the time, and so I recorded for like half an hour with him and asked him about abortion and gay rights and all these other things. And I had the first 2 minutes. I lost the rest.
Oh man.
So that was a bummer. But anyways, yeah. So
So if you're watching this and you see Kyle keep looking at his little black box, it's because he wants to make sure it's still recording. That's why.
I've never had this. Oh man. But yeah, we were saying that and a couple episodes ago
Mm-hmm.
that we were talking about you and about what was that, biking? How you
Yeah.
were into biking,
Yeah.
and that Gary was going to get into biking as well because he has his Peloton at home, and that you were telling him, no, you probably shouldn't because you're busy enough and you should stay with your family, and the importance of having guys in your life that will be able to call you out on things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And those conversations aren't always easy, right? Gary's he's not to overinflate his ego at all, but he's an important guy. And I was like, oh, how to have this conversation with him. And it had kind of like happened over the course of a couple months. Like I knew he had a Peloton. I was like, oh, this is good. It's been good for him. But one of the benefits of having one of those things in your basement is that you can jump on it whenever it works, right?
He bought it from me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, you gave up on it.
No, I
Oh.
just needed like a year and a half ago. I needed some cash. I'm like, hey,
Oh.
Gary.
Okay, well, it sounds like he's putting a lot of miles on it.
Good,
Then.
yeah.
So anyway, he started talking about maybe getting into cycling. And I cycle with my son, Micah, who Gary is also very closely acquainted with. So at first I was like, oh, that'd be fun. And then, thinking about it, ran it, past my wife and stuff. And she's like, oh, I don't know if that's a great thing for Gary because they got a busy house, right? And Marie needs help with the kids and so on. So that was kind of eating at my conscience a little bit. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was in this position once, like 15, 20 years ago when we had a young family and I was busy, like not with cycling then, but lots of other things. And I kind of never really dawned on me at the time. But then later in life, I was like, I was too busy like that. By the grace of God, everything went fine. But would have been good actually if somebody that I respected would have come up to me and said, hey, have you ever thought of like dropping this or not getting involved in this and just staying at home a bit more?
Yeah.
So that was good. We had a good conversation. Gary's pretty receptive to it, but yeah, it's not easy. Like it requires some humility and courage to go up to people and have those conversations. But that's the beauty of having mentors in your life. That's the beauty of having close friends.
Yeah. How 20 years ago, you're in your 20s, let's say there's someone listening in their 20s.
Well, 20 years ago, I was almost in my 30s, but
Okay.
yeah,
Still in your 20s.
yeah.
How do you go about finding a mentor? Like, because you wished you would have had someone speak into your life, but it's also, I think there was a responsibility to seek a mentor out too, right? Like, which is not comfortable, but if you want growth, if you want to be a good dad, husband, Christian, whatever, father.
Yeah. Well, when I think back to that time, I don't think I consciously thought, oh, I need to find a mentor. But we had just recently relocated from Chilliwack all the way to Surrey. So joined a new church there and it was a smaller church and there was a good group of couples actually that we got acquainted with pretty quickly. I had one a family there that was relatives of mine, so I had some cousins there, and just kind of fell into that group, and they were just great. It was just a great group of guys that we did a lot of politicking together, partisan politics, a lot of election campaigning. We started the very first like ARPA Canada, like a chapter, not the very first, but the first one in that area, a chapter. So we would get involved in some municipal politics, and yeah, it was just a lot of busyness. We did Bible study together. We'd often go to the local pub for a drink after Bible study and kind of continue the Bible study there.
Yeah.
So I think what the best thing we can do to find a good mentor is just be vulnerable, be open with people, and then the ones that are receptive of that and are open with you, then you're like, okay, we're close now. Like we've shared intimate things with each other. We trust each other. We know that we're not going to just spread this information.
Have you ever had it where you were close to someone and they did break trust by sharing something that you didn't want shared or something else like that, and being burned in a way? Because you're really dealing with humans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, nothing. I mean, it's probably happened, but it might have been on such a minor scale that it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
No, not really. I don't have any recollections of that.
Fair enough, yeah. So I just realized that I didn't actually properly introduce you since I thought I was recording earlier, and since we started recording again. So Mike Schouten from ARPA Canada, which I again forgot the acronym title, even though you explained it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so it stands for the Association for Reformed Political Action Canada.
Okay, yeah. So you were on an earlier episode of the Furious Curious show, and I'll put that the episode link in the description to that if you want to listen to that. But you said you had some good feedback to that episode?
Yeah, that was, I don't know, about 3-4 months ago, maybe even longer.
I think it was a year ago.
A year ago already. Wow.
Almost, yeah.
Okay. I remember it was one of the first,
maybe spring.
It was one of the first episodes that you had redone this studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then it was probably like half a year ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about how I got involved with ARPA Canada. We talked about our family a bit, like losing a son, Marcus, to cancer. I think we talked about some of the social ills in society and what we can do as Christians to combat them, things like that.
Yeah.
I remember the hour and a half passed very quickly.
Yeah. I think that was before the election, I'm pretty sure.
Most likely, yeah.
And so since the election has now happened and the Liberals are back in, where do you see things in Canada right now, and just culture as a whole, when it comes to especially the issues that you're focused on with ARPA?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of questions there for sure that you just asked. But where I see the culture and politics, I think that the politics that we have, the politicians that have been elected, especially in the last federal election, they're just a reflection of culture. So it's not necessarily a surprise that we have a Liberal government again. Mark Carney's our prime minister. I think that overall, he's taken a much more moderate approach than Justin Trudeau. He doesn't seem like a activist prime minister. He's very open to, how do we build Canada again? How do we approve some of these energy projects that have been talked about? So when you see premiers like Danielle Smith complimenting a Liberal prime minister, like, oh, something's different here now. So that's been encouraging that way. On social issues, we don't expect a whole lot different from the Liberals. We're not sure yet where they actually are when it comes to euthanasia. So euthanasia is an issue that's being talked about for the last 10 years and legislated on, and the courts have made decisions on. And we're set to open it up again to widen the framework for eligibility to people with mental illness as a sole underlying condition. So that's pretty scary because, as you and I'm sure your viewers know, mental illness is something that goes up and down quite regularly. And some days people are suicidal, and some days people are having a great day.
Yeah.
And to allow people with mental illness to request the state to end their life, that's a scary proposition for sure.
And it's high already now, right? 1 in 20 Canadians die by euthanasia.
Yeah, the numbers continue to grow. The most recent year is 2023 that we have the numbers for, and it was over 15,000 that year. since it's been legalized, well over 60,000 people have requested and received euthanasia.
60,000.
So it grows exponentially every single year. So yeah, we don't know where the Liberals are yet. There's a private member's bill actually in Parliament right now that we're really trying to build support for. It's put forward by an MP, Tamara Jansen. She's Christian MP from Cloverdale.
Yeah.
And this bill would actually repeal the sections of the criminal code that are set to kick in March 2027, which will allow euthanasia for people with mental illness.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not allowed yet. It's not allowed yet, but as of March 2027, it will be. Okay. So her private member's bill amends the criminal code to actually take that out so that it won't anymore.
Okay.
So we're trying to build support for that. A similar bill was put forward by Ed Fast in the last Parliament, and it didn't quite receive enough support, but it did receive support from the entire NDP caucus. Okay. 8 Liberal MPs at the time, the entire Conservative caucus. So
right now, if you had Conservatives, NDPs, and 8 Liberals, it'd pass.
No, not because the numbers have changed since the election.
Okay.
So the bill that Ed Fast had put forward was prior to the election. So now that the election's been held, there's a lot less NDP in the House of Commons than there were last time.
Yeah. More Liberals.
Yeah.
And
so
more Conservatives though too.
When we look at the numbers, we need all the Conservatives to vote in favor of it, all the NDP, and about 21 Liberals.
Okay, so more Liberals this time.
We need more Liberals this time. Yeah. So that's if people want to learn more about that, just simply go to arpacanada.ca, or we have a specific website as well for this called carenotkill.ca.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's wild in so many ways that we're in a culture that does this. It's just like, sometimes growing up, I had this idea of Canada as like, Canada's a good country. It's like good moral country. Mm-hmm. But when you actually think about it, it's like, no, it's like way closer to like Sodom and Gomorrah than we care to admit, right? It's just pure wickedness when you see what's allowed.
And we especially on this topic, we regularly get called out by the international community. So whether it's the UN, whether it's other countries, other jurisdictions around the world, they look at what Canada's doing when it comes to euthanasia and assisted suicide, and don't do what Canada's doing. That is gone so wrong there. Yeah.
Interesting how you never read that in the mainstream media.
No. Maybe the National Post, but that's about it.
Maybe. Gary says they're conservative. I call bullshit.
Hey, it's the one print paper that I subscribe to. Yeah.
Okay.
Get the National Post every morning. So
okay. Print paper.
Yeah. I still like having a print paper, and Jennifer likes it too. It's just nice to have something hanging around
physical,
on the counter.
I do like that part too.
Kids can pick up, we can pick up and read. Yeah.
There's a really good podcast called The World and Everything in It, which is a Christian news organization in the States.
Okay.
And they also have World Magazine. And it's really
Marvin
really
Olasky.
Yes. Yeah. He's a gem.
Oh yeah.
He stepped down now as their editor.
Yeah.
He got someone else in place, but it's such a good Christian news organization. Yeah. I really wish that Canada had that, because Rebel has I'd say Rebel is probably adjacent to maybe Fox News, maybe a little bit more conservative than Fox News in the U.S., but it's not Christian at all.
No.
And and like the Daily Wire as well, it's somewhat conservative, but it's not Christian. Maybe Curious Media one day.
Yeah, there you go. You always got to have it. You always have what do they call it? A big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah. Well, I got lots of those. So. Okay. Gary said there's a few topics that we should cover. Terry Fox, church leadership.
Okay.
There's some other things. What's the Terry Fox thing? You've biked with Terry Fox?
Well, Terry Fox passed away in 1981.
Yeah.
So he's long gone. He passed away before. Well, I think before you were born, I bet you.
Yeah, before I was born, yeah.
I think I was 5 when he passed away.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, he was a young man who had cancer, right? Everybody knows.
Live in Chilliwack here, right?
No, Port Moody.
Okay, his brother lives in Chilliwack then.
His brother lives in Chilliwack currently.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So when our son was going through his cancer journey, I picked up a biography of Terry Fox, written by a Toronto Star journalist back in the 80s. And I was like, wow, this is it sounds so similar to Marcus's story. So read that, and then reached out on social media to his brother, Daryl Fox, and we started cycling together here in Chilliwack.
That's the guy okay.
Yeah. So we cycle, well, not every week, but when we're around, we cycle together with a group of other people.
Cool.
Lots of fun. The cycling community is actually great. It's actually amazing how many Christians are in the cycling community.
Okay.
In fact, well, we have time. Just a quick little tangent. One of the first times I went on a ride with a few of these guys, so Marcus was in the hospital, and I managed to get out on a ride with them and came back, and we're just getting to know each other. And I shared a little bit about my story. And these three guys, like right in Garrison, in front of the Waves coffee shop, or whatever, like, we need to pray for you.
Uh-huh.
And they prayed over me, and it was just really moving.
Hmm.
Anyway, so it's
Would you have grown up in a community where spontaneous prayer like that was pretty normal, where like someone was hurting and you were like, "Oh, let's pray for you right now," or is that something? Was it more formal?
no, yeah, prayer when I grew up was more formal, like the traditional, you pray at meal times and before you go to bed kind of thing. But especially since doing this work, and we associate it with lots of different Christians from, they have different
Yeah.
experiences of worship and family worship, it's become more normal for sure
Hmm.
that we don't have to keep prayer to these set times
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that part wasn't odd that they prayed, that people prayed in the middle of the day, but just that these guys who had never met
Yeah.
felt called to pray, and I was like, oh, these are really good guys. Like,
It's good. Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, I've been cycling with Daryl for a while, and then the last number of years, he every year he has they call it the Terry Fox Ride of Hope. So that happens usually on a Saturday in July. Uh, 30 to 35 cyclists bike 360 kilometers in one day, just all through the Lower Mainland. We zigzag all over the place, and it takes about 12 hours. And we do it to raise money for the Terry Fox Foundation for cancer research.
Okay.
So I've really come to appreciate the Terry Fox Foundation, just because the all of the money that they raise goes directly to like cancer research. They
Okay.
don't spend a lot of money per dollar on marketing and advertising. Very successful, the Terry Fox runs that every Canadian kid's been part of
Yeah.
for decades
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right? In fact, they've surpassed the $1 billion mark in
Oh wow.
raising since Terry Fox did his
Wow.
Marathon of Hope. Anyway, the 45th anniversary was this year of the Marathon of Hope. So Daryl had this big idea to take a group of cyclists right across the country. So already last May, so this would be May 2024, he asked me if I wanted to be part of that group. So he was looking for 10 to 12 riders. Man, I was like just giddy with excitement.
Okay.
But then reality kind of hit in, and I was like, oh, I just have a new position with ARPA Canada. Obviously, got responsibilities at home. It was going to be like 35 days you're on the road, and you're away from all of that, right? So I couldn't see a way forward. We had two graduations throughout that time,
Yeah.
and then the other component was that we'd be riding over Sunday, and I'm not opposed to missing church once in a while, but it just felt wrong to go for like over a month without going to church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was really wrestling with that. Anyway, I'd come to the conclusion that, you know what, I actually can't do this. I can't expect this of myself at this stage in life. So told Daryl that, and whatever, that was fine. We kept cycling. And then earlier this year, they put a call out for 1 day riders. Like, you could join the ride for 1 day. And so they would pick up riders throughout the country just for a day. So I applied for that, and kind of as a last sort of ditch effort, I said, hey, what about, like, would there be a compromise? Like, maybe I could go for like 8 days or something. So anyway, they jumped at it, and they're like, sure. So it was just perhaps one of the, what was the most fantastic experience like I've had like that in my whole life, to be part of something like that. We started.
What's so simple? Like, I just think you're biking all day and then you sleep and you bike all day. Like,
It was
describe?
Like, we were for sure.
Okay.
But to be
What's
part
fantastic
of,
about it?
So, oh man, Kyle, so many aspects. So the one of the things, so there's 15 people in total. There was 8 riders. I was the 9th rider. They called me MTR, Mike to Regina, because I was going from Vancouver to Regina. So I was the 9th, kind of the odd person out, but felt very welcomed and included. It was so awesome. But anyway, 9 riders, 6 support staff, drop into Vancouver like on a Saturday, have orientation, get this all figured out. Most of us have not met each other in the past, and then have to embark on this like really hard thing where you're together for 24 hours a day. So everyone can imagine, like, this has the potential to go sideways really fast, right? But for everybody to kind of like get things straightened out, it took 2 or 3 days, but get that all straightened out and like focus on what we have in common. We want to raise money for cancer research here, and not on what set us apart, was it was pretty powerful to see that happen so quickly. And then for me personally, obviously to do this in memory of our son Marcus, yeah, it was just huge, emotional at times, at different times throughout those. I was with them for 10 days, with the whole crew for 10 days.
Yeah.
And then for me personally, like that was the first time since I started working for ARPA that I had actually been with, they weren't all non-believers. Some were agnostic. Some had different aspects of Christianity or no faith at all. But to be with those kind of people that for that amount of time was like refreshing almost.
Yeah.
Like you just have totally different kind of conversations.
Yeah.
And we were biking side by side. So, and then we'd switch, right? So it was really fascinating because you're biking together for 8 to 10 hours a day. And then you'd switch. So you'd be talking to somebody and then it'd be like somebody would call up front, like, let's rotate. So we'd rotate and then you'd be talking to the next person. You're like, okay, see you in an hour. When you're back again in this position, we'll continue our conversation, like that kind of thing. Just getting to know each other, what makes you tick.
Yeah.
Are you doing this for somebody, somebody that passed away close by, and these kind of
Just
things?
something about time together makes a big difference. It's something I actually advocate for when I coach different business leaders, is to take time to, like, with your executives, especially executive team, to go for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of like just a meeting where you discuss the topic and leave the meeting room again, but that time in between, like waiting for the waiter, waiting for your food and stuff like that, because then more natural conversations
Totally
come up that otherwise wouldn't come up. And I definitely noticed that a lot when I used to travel the whole world for 5+ years.
Yeah.
And so you're spending a lot of time in a car or in a plane beside whoever you're traveling with, and you don't necessarily have an agenda to talk about, and so things come up that you would otherwise never be able to talk about, or you can bring up topics and they can't escape. And you can actually talk about things.
So that aspect, I think, was really, it was life changing, I feel, in a way, because
that's a big statement.
Like it really showed me that I actually lead better from within, so not from the front. And my role right now is very much like I'm a leader within ARPA Canada, but don't really work with much of the staff of ARPA Canada. Like you're not with them. But being with those people, I wasn't like the captain of the team. I wasn't in charge of anything, but was able to be a leader, like encourage, coach, be humorous, just model good work ethic, like work hard at this. This is hard work. Like I'm going to show we can work hard, that kind of thing. It was just, I'm like, oh, this feels so much more natural to me. It was pretty powerful in that way. And
so does it make you want to shift something in how you're leading moving forward into different things you're doing?
Yeah. Well, this is a podcast, so I don't know how personal
it's up to you.
But
I'm not forcing you to say anything. So
no, I would say that it. Since then, I definitely have been praying, not for a change, but Lord, if you want me to serve in a different way, if there's different things that I can do, I'm definitely open to that. I miss being able to just be with the people I work with.
What does that look like? Just to shift a little bit to, talking about church leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus gave the example when he washed the disciples' feet. He goes, "Yeah, I am your leader," or I can't exact the terminology he uses, but do as I do. In like, no job is too small. And stuff like that, and being humble, which kind of seems to be a little bit in the same line of what you're saying, like lead from within. You don't need to necessarily be the top, but like in church leadership, what do you think that looks like?
Yeah. So I think what Jesus was showing there was humility, but also servant leadership, right? I think of the same, remember he had that exchange there was James and John who were asking him, like, can I sit at your right hand? And the other one sit at the left. And then the other disciples heard that they had been talking about this and they got rebuked. And then Jesus was, showed them that servant leadership. And I'm like, okay, I think that's what we need to be doing. And it's something that we've lost, I think, with the whole like virtual world, and everybody can connect with everybody all over the place. And there's tons of efficiencies, don't get me wrong, that come with that. And there's a lot more that we can do, a lot more that we're even responsible for because we can do it. But nothing replaces the face-to-face interaction, the just being with each other. like one of the most powerful lessons I ever had in my life was so this is going back to 1999. I was applying for a job at a greenhouse. It was a pretty large outfit, like 40 acres of glass, like huge multi-million dollar company. And the person who had got me the interview, he said to me, he's like, "Oh, meet me at the front gate at this and this time." So I met him there, and he came. He I'll never forget it. This is before I started cycling. He came up on a bike, like this old, like just pedal bike, and then he had another one. He was holding another one that had no rider on. He's like, here's a bike, jump on it." I was like, "Oh wow, I haven't ridden a bike for years, but of course it's something you never forget." Got on the bike. I thought he was taking me to like the person I had to have the interview with, who would be in like a corner office. He was like the important person. He drove me with that bike all the way through the greenhouse out to some back area. And he's like, "Here's the boss. This is the guy you got to talk to." And what was the boss doing? He was hoofing plants faster than anybody else. And this is the guy that owned the whole place, right? So that to me was like a huge life lesson. Like, it doesn't matter what your status is, how much money you have. Like, the way you lead well is to just be with your workers and work harder than them. Show them what it is to work hard and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did that for every day that I worked with him. I was there for 12 years, and he was always the one who wanted to be there first, and he was working hard, and he did it to the glory of God. Like, that's why he did it. And you really get to know someone when you're with them like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was similar to the experience I had on the Terry Fox ride, where like Daryl, like a guy like Daryl, I mean, he's been working for 40 plus years at advancing this mission of his brother Terry. Like, we need to raise money and find cures for cancer and find different treatments for cancer. And but he's out there every day on his bike trying to lead and show everybody that we can do this. And man, they like, I bike to Regina. That's only 1/4 of the way across our country. Like the rest of them, they bike all the way to Newfoundland. Crazy. Over 7,000 kilometers.
Leading by example, obviously, is really big. What happens, and have you seen it in your lifetime of church leaders teaching or saying you should be doing a certain thing but not doing it themselves, and what that does, the impact of that?
I think that's one of the bigger problems that the church faces, is especially when it comes to retention of youth, right? Youth can spot hypocrisy like so fast. So that's definitely, I think, one of the threats, if you will. Like, if you do a SWOT analysis on a church, like, that's one of the threats, that people who are, whether they're in like official church leadership, like have an actual office within the church, or they're just senior members who have status in the right way, like they're longtime members and people look up to them. If they're not leading well, and their example their daily walk with the Lord doesn't match what they might say in church or at a church meeting, then people see that really quickly. And unfortunately, the default often is to not deal with it, but to just leave and go find another church, which they'll probably see the same problems that it may be manifested in a different way, but they're going to be there too. So I think that church leaders have to be very careful that it's not expected they live a perfect life, but there has to be consistency for sure, right?
I think especially also openness or vulnerability of their failures that they do have.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you only see perfection from your leaders, that's also not reality and something you can't ever attain to. And I often think that most Christians, if they would have been part of writing the Bible, they would leave out that Noah got butt drunk naked, or David sins, or Apostle Paul, or Peter went back to works-based salvation, way after Jesus had died and after he had been made right of denying him. Because I think if we forget that part, then
totally,
we're going to give the impression that if you want to be a Christian, you better have it all together, and sin grows in the darkness.
It's a challenging topic for me. Like, I haven't been in church leadership for almost 5 years now, and I think the entire COVID experience really put a magnifying glass on this topic that we're talking about, like how to lead well and be able to, or willing to live by what you said. Right. And yeah, during that time there were a lot of church leaders who were unwilling to they were unwilling to um, oppose what the government said in a way. And I noticed you guys had a podcast recently where you talked about, I think, respecting authority or obeying authority. I don't know if that was with government authority or it was just authority.
Can't remember.
Okay. Anyway, the whole aspect of civil disobedience was a huge part of those
Mm.
conversations,
Yeah.
right? Because churches, many of them felt that no, they had to keep worshiping. Like, who is the state, the government, to close a church down? So there was an unwillingness to have the courage to remain open and continue calling God's people to worship, even if it was in a smaller number and spaced out, and doing your best to acknowledge the very real threat of COVID. I know people personally who died of COVID. It's not some fictional thing; like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
But then, so there would be decisions like that, like no, we're not going to disobey the government, or staying closed, etc. And then there would be these other conversations about, well, we'll just get together in that barn over there, or we'll just have a shop over here. Or so like a willingness to kind of to do that, but do it in a sneaky way and not have the courage to just call the church to worship. Just
Yeah.
so that was, I don't know. For me, it was sad. It was frustrating. Sometimes it was infuriating,
Yeah.
but it really, I don't know.
You obviously can't see into the future, but do you see more of it coming? Like if I look at Canada as a whole, some of the laws that are just passed or considering being passed, and assuming we're going to follow the UK when it comes to like free speech and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
when there's people being put in jail for,
Yeah.
just posting online that are against, homosexual marriage or whatever, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of this is going to just start ramping up more and more.
I think so. I think so. I would say maybe a two-part answer. One is, will something else come along that will threaten church unity as much as COVID did? I think absolutely that there will. What exactly that is, maybe it has to do with free speech. Maybe it has to do with our, like a Christian or a biblical understanding of marriage and sexuality, where, by texts like Genesis 1:27 are now prohibited for preaching on and things like that. Could be that. It could be something else. It could be that, the state comes along and threatens any parents that are homeschooling, and that impacts the church in maybe a more tangential way or something. There's definitely going to be more challenges that the church faces, either from the state or other. I think, or I should say, I lament in a way that I don't think through the whole COVID experience we've done enough. Not that we haven't learned anything. I don't think we've done enough to analyze how that went and what we can learn from it in order to benefit us in the future. And I read a book during COVID by Alistair Begg called Brave by Faith, and he talks about a lot of good things. He kind of walks you through the first few chapters of Daniel, and the courage that needs to be exemplified in the face of crisis like that has to come from our leaders, our church leaders, and it's not something that can be learned in the moment of crisis. Like, you have to be rooted well in God's word and in those principles, so that when a crisis comes, you have the right amount of conviction to make decisions right away. That's what Begg really talks about, and encourages especially church leaders to know where you stand, to know where you're rooted in, and to have the confidence and conviction to make the right decisions, even if they're as hard as what Daniel did, going to his room to pray. Like, even if they're that hard, knowing that you're going to be chucked in the lion's den. Right. So I think that, like I said, I lament that I don't think the church has learned enough. Not to say they haven't learned anything, but learned enough to know what to do when the next crisis comes.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of a quote we talked about earlier, which is from Robert Murray McCheyne, who died even before he was 30. The greatest gift a pastor can give to his church is his own personal holy life, which I think is ultimately in believing deeply in Christ and what he says, and that those things sink in deep, and our beliefs always drive our behaviors. And so if we're not rooted deeply there and spending time there, then when crisis comes, we are going to be like, a house built on sand.
Yeah.
It's the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
I see a lot of it, and it's easy to get away with it when there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure comes, and it shows up quickly.
Yeah. And I think these things are life lessons in themselves for all of life. Like us as husbands, as fathers, we're gonna face crisis. Maybe through your work or your vocation, there's going to be crisis. And if you're not well rooted, you're not going to stand very, very firmly through those crises.
How do you become well rooted?
By being in God's word. There's no other way. Like, you need to be in God's word. And when you're in God's word, not only does your level of knowledge, comfort, assurance of salvation, faith, the strengthening of your faith, not only do all those things happen, but it prevents actually Satan from taking root, because you're filled with God's word.
Yeah.
Right. And that can't be just worship on Sundays.
No.
Like, we need to have vibrant, personal devotion lives, and all of us have room for improvement there. But if the only time you're opening your Bible is like to read a quick couple verses before dinner to get that done with, and listening to the pastor on Sunday morning, like, that's not enough. Like, we need to expect more from ourselves.
You're going to be blown over fast.
Yeah. And that's the only way, is to be in the word and meditate on it, pray over it, share what you're learning with others. Like, all of that has to be part of your life.
One of the phrases I learned through secular coaching is what you focus on grows.
Yeah.
When we think about whatever that is. And so you think about, reading the Bible 10 minutes a day, 60 hours a year, right? You do the math. It seems like a lot. But then you look at like your screen time on your phone or other things you might be consuming per day. Yeah. And, you're not going to be able to stand very much, or what's going to, affect you or permeate you the most. It's going to be what you're focused on. So
I sometimes have that when I look at my, so cyclists have an app called Strava. So that tracks all your rides and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow, I've been on my bike a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours.
Do you listen to stuff when you ride too, or not?
No, okay. No, I've always resisted that for a number of reasons. One is I get really annoyed especially when you're biking on gravel trails, and then you ding your bell. You're very polite to people, and they don't hear a thing. And then when you ride by them, they're like, they jump, right? And you're like, but they got their earbuds in, and they can't even hear you coming. So that annoys me. But I also think, like, God gave us 5 senses, and we can use them at different times. I'm not going to, when I'm out in God's creation, cycling and enjoying God's creation, I don't want to have to listen to something else. Plus, I'm listening and reading and seeing my screen all day. It's just nice to have a break.
Yeah. You bike daily, or is it weekly?
No, probably 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. Yeah. Actually, just this is the first year I bought a smart trainer. So you can take your road bike and actually put it on a trainer, and then hook it up to an app with a screen, and ride with other people and do routes all over the world. And my goal,
while you physically ride outside, or while you're stationary?
No, it's just stationary.
Okay. So it's like a little Peloton, basically.
Yeah, your own Peloton almost. You just take your rear tire off and then pop it onto this trainer.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I've never done that before, but I always start like end of February, March. You start cycling outside, but then it takes me like 2 months to get back in shape and ready to go. So I said to Daryl Fox, I said, my goal is that next March I'm able to keep up with you just like I am right now. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Hopefully I did okay filling in for Gary. Like I said, big shoes to fill, but also honored that you asked me to come on and join the Briefcase in the Barn.
Appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to always send those in. Love hearing from you, and we'll talk about that on a couple of feature episodes. So until next time.